Customer said it was ready, part 2.
Yeah, the customer's an idiot.
I'll see it now, then I'll film it, and then you'll see it when I want to, or if I want to show you it. And I'll be a lot quicker. So I have to start talking to you all the time. That's not really what it sounds about, but get in my head. Good morning. Monday morning. Welcome back. Actually really dirty, aren't I? Yeah. Hot. It's really hot, so all the grime sticks to you when it's hot. What have I done this morning? Well, as I said last week, I'm probably not going to do a lot of workshop stuff for the first few days because I've primarily got just sorting out this job really. It's just little bits that aren't really of much interest. So I've cut a load of panels. They're done, and put this sort of tongue and groove detail in, which I'm going to take you through now. I finished off making those frames. Glued and assembled my cutlery drawer, so I can unclamp that now. And I did this little rebate on the handle. Other than that, that's about it really. Bit of a chill day. Now I'm going to go to that job and plaster it somehow. So what I'll do is I'll pick you up when I'm there. But first, I just thought I'd show you actually these tongue and groove panels, how I do them. I've done it before on a video, but I didn't really I don't think I explained it very well, so I'm going to try and do it again. Right, so when this piece is bang on level, so we put that up to the wall, and that's smack on level, and we scribe that in. I then glue a longer version of this in, to be honest. I'll just put some offcuts in for now. Glue one of these in, full length, like a little tongue. And then I slot this over, it says. Well, isn't it? Slot that over, and it gives you the effect of having, you know, a wider panel, but also because you can get this truer in both directions a lot easier, it gives you a better sort of result when it's done. I really think it's quite a clever idea. I sort of become quite fond of it. That's how I do all of them now. It just means as well that that's easier to transport because that's actually a 2.4 board. So it'd be a pain if that was 690. I think 690 or 710, I can't remember. Yeah, I'm gonna load all the vanity and plastering kit, go to that job. I've got to pick the materials up, then get on it. I'll do a bit of filming of that because I haven't really done any of this today either. So, right then. Customer said it would be clear.
It's nearly clear.
That's a thumbnail.
Did you want that? Put your bead on me or?
I might give that a go. Yeah, I've done it before. It works out alright actually.
Yeah. I think it's quite unstable, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
It's
not actually that big, is it? It's 8 boards. It's obviously it's probably because it's all cuts.
Well, I brought 9, and then that's what I've got left over there. All that's leaned up down there.
Too bad. Not too bad at all. Dan did the ceiling then. Dan did the ceiling. Customer said it was ready. Customer said it was ready, part 2.
Yeah, the customer's an idiot.
And it's raining now, look. Right, good morning, welcome back. It is Tuesday, about 11 o'clock already. I didn't film much of yesterday's plastering. I'm going back tonight. I might film a little bit more. It didn't go particularly well because I just couldn't get going. It was so hot. The guy had to take a board off, which I did think I filmed that. But it went all right in the end. It was just very awkward, very hot in there. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is, before I go back there, I've got a couple of jobs I've been sorting out to do. hence all this timber on the bench. I've got some 1.5 inch tulip, which will end up being a little bit, I've got to put on the kitchen that I'm making. And I've got some oak, which is for another job I might be fitting end of the week. So I've picked the oak up today, and I've picked up this inch tulip. I don't often pick up inch tulip because you don't get a lot left out of it by the time you, I mean, even if you take a small bit, you see down it. Well, actually, to be fair, that ain't too bad. But yeah, you sort of struggle really to get 18mm out of it unless you're using really short length. However, the vanity unit I'm about to make, which I'll put a picture up on the screen, I'm going to prepare all the solid woodwork for that, and I'm going to reduce it all to about 18, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little video of just how I do that. So that will start with the cut list. That's up on the screen. That's something I've done this morning before I picked up the timber. I just jumped in the office, done a little sort of like mock-up of what will give me the cut list. I then could have, to be fair, printed that, but I haven't. Just take the quantities. So what we can see here is from the image, I've taken these and I've just wrote them on a scrapper board. I like to just have a scrapper board, you know, rather than carrying a bit of paper around. It's just habit, I guess. So 282 times 50, quantity 4. I'll write A next to that. Then we'll do the 510 times 50, quantity 6, 1B. Quantity 3, C, 617 times 174, D. Now, what I then do is I work out my lengths. So my longest length is 623. So you've got to allow for a thing called snipe, or just, you know, bad planing really. And just you want to resize the boards when they're nearer the time. So I'll make everything over. So I've done everything at 750. So all these boards now I'm going to cut down to 750 because 282 goes into 750 twice quite comfortably. So I've marked my boards. Now I've taken a board and I've marked it 750, 750, 750. And then I've done these A, B and C's out of the bits I'm going to use. So I know I needed 4 A's. Well, I've just done 2 because I'll get 2 out of 1. So A, and then we got a D. Now the D is 617 by 174. I won't get 174, or I will. I could easily just take 174 out of one of these bits of timber, but it's not really wise to. You really want to join 2 boards and alternate the grain, the growth rings. So we're going to get 1/2 of a D out of that, another 1/2 of a D out of that. Then we've so on. We've got our B's, C's, D, C, and then we'll get the rest of the D out of another board. So effectively, I'm going to use all of that board and a little bit of that board to make that. So the reason that I mark it all out, I'm going to get plain in a minute, don't worry, I know this is boring, but the reason I mark it all out like that is just so I can visualise it. So I can visualise what I'm going to get out the board. Rather than, I've done this before in the video, but rather than thicknessing and planing all the timber I've brought and ending up with it being its absolute sort of minimal thickness because it's so bent and warped, I'm forever trying to get it flat. I'd rather make it easier to handle. So I'll either all cut it to 700 now and thickness and plane them at 750, sorry. Or I'll cut them at 750 and I'll actually cut them. They're all oversized, obviously. I'll actually cut them to because you have to allow for the thickness of the blade and re-straightening each time. Or I'll cut them into the really small bits they're going to be, and I'll process them all in one go. It all depends really how a little bit of like what I'm feeling like, and also what I think is going to be the easiest, because quite often trying to cut a big board like that, it will pinch and bite because it will open up and move. So I might just be better off just thicknessing and reducing it first, and then resizing it, and then resizing it again, because whatever way around, at some point, I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to have to go out of sequence on the thickness of planer. So I might as well just accept that and start with it out of sequence, really. Just start by cross-cutting and then reducing all that. So that's what we're going to do. And I think rather than doing one of my little music clips, which I do enjoy doing, I think I'm just going to do a bit of a talk through over it. Just so you can hear my voice a bit more, I guess. Right then, let's jump on it. Right then, job number 1, cut them down to the 750 so they're more manageable. For this, I've got my fence set at 850 and the 100mm mark on the end of my push stick. So I just slide it over till I see that mark. And then it just means that when the offcut of the timber comes off, it doesn't get caught in between the fence and the blade, which obviously be quite dangerous, especially with a heavy bit of timber like that. You'll see I didn't have the dust extraction on actually. And if you looked in last week's video, you see I remade the hood. And now if you look at this cut, you'll see, now I've turned the dust extraction on, wasn't intentional obviously, but there's no dust coming out. Those brush seals really do an amazing job of just limiting what dust gets onto the table and then obviously what gets blown around by the blade. Then we go over to the planer. Anytime I set the planer up for anything, I always make sure I give it a little wipe down, I'll put a bit of wax on it, and I'll just double check the beds are still in coplanar. And when I'm surface planing a large bit of timber, I set it to about 1/2 mil, really. That's all I want to be taking off. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating for the first few passes, but when you start getting near the end, it just makes all the difference, because you're not wasting a lot of material. Some of these boards are like 10 inches wide that I'm going to plane. That's a lot of pressure on the machine. It will handle it, but it's just unnecessary really. So if we can just take off 1/2 mil passes, it makes it a lot nicer. And then you'll see I always try and pull it so that you'll see, try and keep it flat and have it sort of so the bow is in the table. If you put it so it's bow down, it will wobble like mad. At least if you have bow up, you can sort of rest it on the most of the edges. And after a couple of passes, it sort of sorts itself out really. Yeah, you'll see here that I've got a wider board. Now, if I'd have cut that down to the 40 or 50mm face frames and passed that through, you notice how light my touch is on that board, how lightly I'm pushing it down. If I was to push that too hard down, especially on a thinner piece, I'd actually flex the board, and you sort of like cheat yourself into thinking you've got something flat, but you're actually flexing it into the blade. So there's a bit of an art really to this. It does just look like I'm passing it through something, but yeah, you've just got to know when to adjust your touch based on the sort of size of the timber, or even the flexibility of the timber. I mean, oak, you'll struggle to bend, but if you had a bit of oak at 10mm, you would flex it passing it through. Okay, so then we want to set the fence up for square. Has to be absolutely perfect really. And that what we're doing there is we're using the flatness I've just created up against that fence that then projects down at 90 degrees to the table. And we're keeping our pressure downwards and towards the fence to create a straight and square line on the bottom of the board. Now I actually do both edges of the board because I'm going to run it against the fence of the panel saw later to create my straight lines. When I'm doing this as well, I would actually alter the table so that it's no longer at 0.5mm. You see where I've lowered it. Probably taking about 1.5 mil off here just because the boards aren't very straight. So you'll see this first, as this passes through, you see there's a gap at the back of the board. Then you'll see on the second pass, we'll go straight back through again, because I'm taking 1.5 mil off, so I'm taking 3mm off overall. This second pass will alleviate that. And then I've got a perfectly straight edge, and on both edges of the boards. Then we lay our boards on the table, just double check them really, just to make sure that there's no sort of really nasty defects. And then I'll just check my minimum thickness I can now reduce these to. So lay them flat down, make sure they're flat, and just a bit of thinking and just think, yeah, I think I've landed on 24mm or something. Then you pass them all through just to get them all at 24mm. So you can see now how flat I'm getting and how sort of true they are and square, and that's paramount really for any sort of future registering, like squaring pencil marks and recutting and whatnot for the face frames and for the drawers. I'll transfer now all my A's and B's and C's and all that, as I did at the beginning of the video, back over to the board because obviously I'm playing them off. Then we run them through against the fence on the panel saw. This is just to create all my face frames and drawer fronts now. Now all these are run through at like 2 or 3mm over, maybe a little bit more, and then every now and then I'll get one that just doesn't quite go through straight. So I'm just allowing really to take off the saw marks and to take off any sort of straightness again. The drawer fronts, before I run them back on the planer to just make sure they're straight, I'll check my grain orientation, make sure that we got rings going up on one, rings going down on the other. just so any future movement is sort of taken care of. You know, it will counteract itself. If the boards are stable, is a school of thought really, but you don't need to do that. But you know, if you get a chance to do it, you might as well do it. You'll see now I'm flattening again the odd face frame just because it didn't quite come out the panel saw quite right. Sometimes that happens. And then the drawer fronts, interestingly what I do here is, because I've marked what's the front on them, I'll have the front against the fence on one bit, and then the next one I'll have the back against the fence. I've done this on the previous video and gone through it in detail, and that means that if that fence is a micron out of square, it will counteract that when you butt the two boards together, and they'll always create a straight line. And then we just take the face frames and we just pass them through, make sure that they end up being completely, basically parallel to each other. So they're all the same dimension. We're just sort of dimensionalising the timber now, really. Then we just go through, check for any defects. If there's any nasty marks, we sort of, because I've done a few extra, we just sort of pencil mark those, put them to one side. Then it's a case of just going through your cut list, square cutting them all, getting them all ready to be sort of laid out on a dry room, really, and just a lot of thinking, just to make sure that you don't, after you put all that effort in, you don't cock this bit up. Okay, so then we've got them all laid out. That's when I can measure where each one's going and draw my square marks, and I X everything for the face up so that I don't get confused when I do all my joints, because my reference point now for everything is going to be the face and the edge of every board. I'm no longer dealing with the back. Although everything's square and parallel, that's just, it just means you're always looking at it as you're cutting. So you see now when I'm stacking them, I'm turning them so that each time when I go back to joint it, I've got it the right way round. Yeah, and it's over to the domino, which I've spoke about in other videos. An amazing bit of kit. This will be out of the box and set up within minutes. Yeah, and I'll do all the dominoes again in minutes. It's just brilliant. It's amazing. We do all like the loose mortises, the slightly looser mortises in the edge joint, and then on the end grains where I do the tight mortises. It's just how I do it. I think when you're working with the end grain, it's just a little bit denser, so it's just nicer to do the tighter one rather than catching a wobble and perhaps damaging the bit or even the machine. Right, and then it's over to the glue up. With any gluing up, it's all about just preparation, getting it all ready. Even make sure your clamps, so my clamps are stacked to the side there. I've double checked they're near the right size, so I'm not wasting time. It's a warm day today, you see. Yeah, and then I sort of do when I use the domino, I don't tend to do my rails and stars too much longer. I just do them more or less the same size. I will square them up slightly afterwards, but yeah, I just try and get them bob on with the square as I clamp them up. And the easiest way to achieve that is just to get them near, square them, then just loosen the clamp off and then just tap them, just tap them now, micro tap to perfection. I'll use a foam roller actually. You can buy all these fancy bits of kit for putting PVA on, and maybe one day I'll get one, but I just use a foam roller with the PVA and just leave it in a bucket of water to clean off. Dominoes on this drawer front, are they required? Possibly not, but it does just help for the glue up. And if this was oak, I wouldn't really be wet ragging this off. It's just because I'm going to paint it and it's tulip, I'll wet rag it off rather than, you know, giving it 30 minutes and scraping the glue off. Right, it's about 3:10. So hopefully that footage was of yeah, sort of like worked. What I'm trying to sort of demonstrate is how I do it, not necessarily how it should be done. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and I wouldn't necessarily always plane and reduce the timber in that way. It's all just purely dependent on what I'm doing it for. If I was doing great big long boards for a tabletop, I'd have a completely different process. I just think sometimes there's sort of misleading information out there, really. You've got to be practical with the timber you're buying, and it's your money at the end of it, well, the customer's money. You've got to do it how you see is the most feasible way for that application. Right, also, I don't know if you've noticed, but the panels that I'll the 3 panels, if you like, that are on the screen, they're not necessarily going to butt up to each other to form this. What they're going to do is they're actually going to be mitered around the corner, so you don't see the side of the face frame. That's purely because it's such a small vanity unit. I just didn't really want it to be too complicated with little bits and bobs. On kitchens and wardrobes and stuff, I have done folded miters around corners before. It's a lot of work. It's not a lot of game really. Because it's such a small contained unit, I'll be able to do it and it will look quite nice. So I'll just spin you around now to show you that. What I mean is the actual long frames, I'm going to 45 degree like that. These are just the offcuts of the actual frames. And I'm just giving it a bit of a dummy run. I'll just cut these on the miter saw. And I've just trialled out my domino sizes. So the idea is, I'll just click like that and it will go round the corner, so it will form like it'll actually end up forming like a frame housing, like with the shaker panels on the side and the drawer fronts on the front, and that will house a carcass that I'll build that the toilet will then sit on top of. If that makes sense, which probably doesn't. It does to me, but get in my head. So basically I'm going to have got to it, I'm going to do this plastering now. And will I film it? I don't know. In reality, I was going to spend a bit more time showing a bit of plastering. It's not really what the channel's about, but it's such a tiny room and it's so fucking hot that I'm probably not going to do it. But I might film a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. Well, you'll see. I'll see as well. We'll all see at the same time. Yeah. Well, not at the same time. I'll see it now, then I'll film it, and then you'll see it when I want to, or if I want to show you it. That's how it's working. I'm here now, that's how warm it was yesterday. So less than 24 hours later and it's bloody bone dry. The corners are only wet because I've just wet them. I've literally just brushed all that wet so the new plaster doesn't stick to it. And that's dried already as well, so this will be fun, won't it? Right, good morning, Wednesday morning, no plastering tonight, which is just, yeah, really happy about that. I can't believe I said yes to that, to be fair, but it's done, you know, came out all right in the end. So what I'm on today, I've got to pick the kids up today, so I won't be here all day. I am finishing this. So I've just unclamped it all. You know, I spoke last night about these miter folds going around the corners. So we're going to basically apply this to this piece, this piece, this piece and this piece. Wrap it around the corner, maybe cut the drawer fronts, I don't know. I've got to do a little scoop out in the drawers as well. There's other bits and bobs to do. But yeah, I'm just going to time lapse all of it really. It'll be a lot of backwards and forwards. I've got to sand them all now. There's so much you've got to do really, just to get it anywhere near. So really the goal is, I guess, get all this prepped and glued so that it's drying. While it's drying, make the cabinet that's going to sit inside it. And I've just got to try and make the whole thing as light as possible. I've got to make this gravity batten, basically like a split batten that goes on the wall. Basically, you fit one to the wall and the other one gets glued and screwed inside the cupboard, and then you drop that onto the wall, if that makes sense. So I do the wall covers. Didn't show you last time. My last fit out actually. Maybe I haven't done one since I started doing YouTube. But don't panic. I've done one before. So right, cool. Time lapse. Let's go. Right then, yeah, didn't do too bad in the end actually. So that's the cabinet built. Cabinet is when you cross a cupboard and a cabinet. That's what the professionals call it. But for the layman, this is a cabinet or a cupboard. Yeah, basically you'll see I've got a bit of solid oak in the back there, which is chamfered back at 25 degrees. And then you've got this other piece here, which is chamfered back 25 degrees the opposite way, and I shall pre-drill that. So on site, it can just pick that up, they can get fitted to the wall, and then you drop the cupboard onto it, and it sits there. I think it will never move. It's just a little bit shorter as well, just so when you put it on, you can position it left and right a little bit. Put that in the cupboard. Or cabinet. Yeah, and I've just started assembling the drawers. I've got them all cut, and I'm just going to mitre this piece here. And basically, this slot is out for the waste. So that bottom drawer, when it shuts, the waste is going to come out of a trap here, go down there tight, down there, and then the top one, unfortunately, is going to be spinning around. The top one's going to be a lot bigger, unfortunately, because I've got to allow for the trap. Yeah. It's unfortunate I didn't get that done, because also I want to kind of get these clamped and glued up, these boards. I've got to get these cut now. Well, I won't, so I'll go pick the kids up. But they're going to be the front, so I'm going to do them slightly different to my other drawers. I'm not going to have another piece in, I'm just going to have that straight on the front. Actually very similar to how I did this one. So the front actually goes straight into the cupboard. I'll just domino it on. Yeah, the only thing I think, well, it's got to have had a good day actually, but the only thing I've noticed that I probably should have done slightly differently is I probably should have left these oversized, and then I could have thickness and planed them again, just because there's no wobble in that, is it? Just sitting on the cupboard. No, it's fine. Yeah, just, well, basically in case they wobble or, you know, whatnot, but I normally do that as well. I don't know why I didn't, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Right then, in worst case now, I can always reduce them a little bit more and just bring the drawers forward. It won't really matter. Right, I'm going to go. And then tomorrow, was it Thursday tomorrow? I've got to get that finished tomorrow, because that was really only going to be, that's quite a small job, that. Get that finished tomorrow, and get some oak slats cut for Friday's job, and get these shelves processed tomorrow, I think. Anyway, see you in the morning. Right, morning, Thursday morning. Busy day today. I've picked up some hard wax oil, some natural filler, because what I've got to do is I don't know, I haven't confirmed yet, I might go back to that job and fit that and get that ticked off. It's been a long time. So I've got these 3 shelves which are for that. I've got to really go over those and just address the edges, and I've been saving it because I've also got these ones to do for another job, so I might as well get them all on the bench. My thinking is get them all on the bench at the same time and get them all done. But to do that, I've got to clear this job, which I kind of thought I'd get finished yesterday, but I didn't. You can see I've got this bit to do, and I've got the other drawer to do. And I've also got to run some oak slats out, which again, just trying to prioritise time. The oak slats, they'll be good to be run out with the lipping for these drawers, because I'll hardwood lip those. I'm going to pick this up. So, yeah, I'm going to put the phone down now, and we're going to just do a bit of filming, I suppose, and probably just bring you on at the end of the day and see how far I got. The next bit of me talking, unless I find something so fascinating, I've just got to bring you in. The next bit of me talking should be me with a bench full of all my materials, all my bits and bobs that I've just highlighted that'll be done. I can't see it, can you? I don't know. I ain't sure. Do you know what I mean? Got to be positive though, at least one of us has got to be positive. Right, let's go. smashed it. Mission achieved, accomplished. Bike ride done. Shelves, things, whatever you want to call them, done. Slats for the media wall, done. Drawers, they're not quite done, are they? But they're done. And what else? Anything else? Oh yeah, you'll notice the vanity unit's not there. The vanity unit is now in the paint room, and that has had its primer coat, and I made the drawer fronts for it as well. Rebated those. The spindle moulder, which I also included in the video, I believe. I'm not sure. Anyway, breath mat. Yeah, tomorrow I might be fitting the slat walling on that job, which I think I put a picture of this morning. If not, there's one up there now. And fitting the shelves. Got to put a bit of coving back. I've got to find the coving. Where is it? And putting the lights on underneath. I've got to check the lights tonight. Have been delivered. I've got to make sure that they're long enough, actually, that the lead that goes to the lights is long enough. If not, I'll probably have to rig something up, I suppose, because otherwise I've got to put it off again. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be there tomorrow. I may well be here as well for a little bit, because I don't think it's a full day. I'll have to come here to get the stuff. I don't know, yeah, you'll find out. You'll find out what I'll do. All right, cool. See you in the morning. That's what I'll bring you back on. I haven't actually showed these. So if you... Hopefully they won't dry quite so patchy, but if you can see the corners now, I've given them a little fill in places. But yeah, they're all more or less the same. Is it green? Is it green about? Reflection off something, but yeah. All right, good afternoon, it's Friday. I've basically been just prepping all day. I should have been fitting the media wall, which I spoke about yesterday. Anyway, can't do that because I'm waiting for a delivery to come here, basically, which should have been here by midday. They've now rang, said it'll be between 2 and 4. So there's not really much I can do. If I'd known that, I could have gone to go fit it this morning, but yeah, doesn't matter. Basically, so what I've been doing is, and I did say I would be doing this at some point, didn't think I'd be doing any workshop stuff this week for filming. I've basically been doing all the prep for the kitchen. So all the doors that were down there, I've sanded all those, and they're all up in there. They've all had primer. I've got all my paint and all that sorted. Prepped the spray guns, got them primed, ready for, get going on them. I've got to sand the frames. I've got to finish off those drawers. I've got to make a little drawer for that unit over there as well. But because I've showed making all these, and because I've done so much sanding and whatnot, I'm deciding not to film that. And I'll be a lot quicker. I have to start talking to you all the time. But yeah, so I just thought I'd come on and say that. This is the end of the video, end of the week. And then hopefully, get a little bike ride again today, which would be nice. Yeah, so tune in for next week. Yeah, and just a big thank you really to anyone that's been watching the videos, anyone that's subscribed. I have noticed, I don't want to pull you up on this, but basically like over half the people that watch it don't subscribe. What's that about? I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, does it? But yeah, whatever, do what you want, I guess. Do what you see yourself. If you don't want to subscribe, don't subscribe, but why wouldn't you? Anyway. Yeah, that was a customer messaging me saying I can't fit the media wall on Monday, so I'll do that Tuesday now. Doesn't matter though. So basically, Tuesday's video I'll be fitting the media wall. Not for me to tell you that really. Anyway, yeah. What was I saying? I don't know if I've already said this. Confusing now. I confused myself. Basically, are you subscribed? You ask yourself that. Are you enjoying it? Number one. All right. Are you enjoying it? Yeah. If not, let's go. Don't watch it. If you are enjoying it though, if you've not subscribed, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It makes me feel great. Yeah. Okay. Have a good weekend. Well, not a good weekend. I don't know when I'm going to put it up. I need to get my head around this.